What if the world's most famous paintings, ancient bloodlines, and powerful secret societies were all connected to a single, terrifying prophecy? For centuries, elite groups have hidden occult symbols in plain sight, laying the historical groundwork for a master deception. Today, we decode the dark truths behind the Da Vinci Code, the Knights Templar, and how this global shadow system is secretly preparing the world for the arrival of the Dajjal. Open your eyes, because the greatest illusion in human history is already unfolding. Welcome back to Pure Deen Academy. A few years ago, a novel called The Da Vinci Code took the world by storm, selling over 80 million copies and sparking a global obsession with secret societies, hidden messages, and conspiracies. The book was a work of fiction, but it was built entirely around a very real, terrifying concept that powerful secret groups have existed for centuries, guarding esoteric knowledge and manipulating the masses by hiding their true beliefs in plain sight. In the story, the famous Renaissance artist Leonardo da Vinci is portrayed as a high-ranking member of a secret society. He supposedly hid pagan symbolism, sacred geometry, and anti-religious messages right inside his most famous Christian paintings, like the Last Supper and the Mona Lisa. But as Muslims, we have to look past the Hollywood fiction and ask a much deeper question. Is there an actual historical precedent for secret societies using symbols to manipulate religion? And more importantly, does this web of hidden knowledge and global deception connect to the ultimate deceiver warned about by Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, the Dajjal? To understand the connection, we have to travel back in time. Long before Leonardo da Vinci ever picked up a paintbrush, a real-life secret society was born in the Holy Lands. A group's dark legacy still haunts the world today. The year was 1099. The First Crusade had just ended in a horrific massacre. The holy city of Jerusalem had fallen to European crusaders, and the sacred compound of Masjid al-Aqsa was drenched in the blood of Muslims. Nearly 20 years later, in 1119, a mysterious group of 9 French knights arrived in Jerusalem. They called themselves the Poor Fellow Soldiers of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon, better known to history as the Knights Templar. They claimed their mission was to protect Christian pilgrims traveling to the Holy Land. But for the first 9 years of their existence, these 9 men didn't protect a single highway. Instead, they set up their headquarters directly on top of the Temple Mount, right inside the Al-Aqsa compound. What were they actually doing? Historical records and architectural evidence suggest they were digging. They excavated deep beneath the noble sanctuary, searching through the ancient subterranean ruins of what they believed were the stables of Prophet Suleiman, peace be upon him. In Islamic theology, we know that during the time of Suleiman, peace be upon him, the people of Babylon were heavily involved in black magic, occultism, and dealing with the jinn. The Quran tells us in Surah Al-Baqarah that the devils taught men magic to cause corruption on earth. Suleiman never practiced magic, but he confiscated these dark texts and buried them to protect the people. When the Knights Templar dug beneath the ruins, they did not just find ancient relics. Many historians and researchers believe they unearthed this buried esoteric knowledge, ancient Babylonian and Kabbalistic texts of dark magic, alchemy, and occult rituals. When these 9 knights returned to Europe, something unexplainable happened. They were no longer poor. Almost overnight, the Knights Templar became the wealthiest, most powerful organization in the medieval world. They invented the modern banking system. They owned massive fleets of ships, vast estates, and held more power than kings. But their sudden wealth came with a dark spiritual price. Rumors began to spread that behind the closed doors of their heavily guarded castles, the Templars were no longer practicing Orthodox religion. They were accused of holding secret initiation rituals, spitting on the cross, and worshipping a mysterious horned idol known as Baphomet. The Templars had become a state within a state. They had established a system of hidden knowledge, an elite class that possessed the truth, while keeping the common masses in the dark. Eventually, their absolute power threatened the King of France, Philip IV. On Friday, October 13th, 1307, which is where the superstition of Friday the 13th comes from, the king ordered the sudden arrest of all Knights Templar. They were tortured, burned at the stake, and their order was officially dissolved by the Pope. But a secret society that powerful does not simply vanish. They went underground. The surviving Templars fled into the shadows of Europe, taking their wealth, their symbols, and their occult knowledge with them. Over the next few centuries, this esoteric tradition morphed and evolved, giving birth to the modern secret societies we hear about today, most notably the Freemasons and the Bavarian Illuminati. This brings us back to the era of the Renaissance and Leonardo da Vinci. Da Vinci was a genius, but he was also obsessed with the occult, alchemy, and esoteric knowledge. He famously wrote his personal notebooks in a secretive mirror script, backwards writing that could only be read when held up to a mirror. This was a classic hallmark of the occult. Everything is inverted. Everything is backwards. These secret societies operated on a very specific philosophy. They believed that Orthodox religion, whether it was Islam, Christianity, or Judaism, was meant to be dismantled. They wanted to replace God-given revelation with pure human intellect, secularism, and a materialistic world order. To communicate with one another across borders and centuries, they used symbols: the pyramid, the compass and square, the pentagram, and the most famous, terrifying symbol of all, the all-seeing eye. Now, how does this sprawling history of the Templars, secret societies, and hidden symbols connect to Islam? When we look at the authentic hadith of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, we are given a terrifyingly precise description of the greatest trial humanity will ever face: Al-Masih ad-Dajjal, the false Messiah, the Antichrist. The Prophet, peace be upon him, explicitly warned us about the physical appearance of the Dajjal. He said, "Allah is not one-eyed, but the false Messiah is one-eyed, and his right eye is blind, looking like a bulging grape." For over 1,000 years, elite secret societies have obsessed over the symbol of the one eye. You see it on the back of the US $1 bill, sitting atop a pyramid. You see it in the logos of major corporations. You see it constantly flashed by celebrities and musicians in the entertainment industry. It is the ancient Egyptian Eye of Horus, adopted by the occult as a symbol of illumination and control. But the Dajjal is not just a physical man with one eye. Long before the man himself steps foot on the earth, the system of the Dajjal must be established. What is the system of the Dajjal? The Prophet, peace be upon him, described the Dajjal as the ultimate deceiver. He will come with something that looks like water, but it will actually be burning fire. And he will have something that looks like fire, but it will actually be cool, sweet water. This means the system of Dajjal is entirely based on inversion. Good becomes evil, and evil becomes good. Modesty is mocked, and shamelessness is celebrated. The truth is called misinformation, and lies are broadcasted as undeniable facts. Secret societies, from the Templars to the modern occultists, have always operated on this exact principle. They hide the truth in shadows. They promote a materialistic worldview where human desires replace divine law. They have spent centuries laying the geopolitical, financial, and cultural foundation for a global secular order. When the Dajjal finally arrives, he will not have to build his empire from scratch. The throne will already be built, waiting for him to sit on it. Today, the Da Vinci Code is no longer confined to paintings in a museum. The code is everywhere. Look at the modern entertainment industry. It is saturated with occult symbolism. Look at the global financial system. It is built entirely on riba, usury, and interest, a system that enslaves the poor and empowers the elite, which is exactly how the Templars built their wealth centuries ago. We are living in the era of the Dajjal's system. It is designed to distract you. It is designed to make you obsess over the material world, your phone, your bank account, your social media status, while completely blinding your spiritual eye. The Dajjal is blind in his right eye, which represents the spiritual realm, but he can see perfectly out of his left eye, which represents the material realm. The system wants you to be just like him, physically awake, but spiritually blind. So, how do we protect ourselves? If this system is so vast, so deeply entrenched in our politics, our media, and our history, how does a believer survive? Allah and His Messenger did not leave us defenseless. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, gave us the exact antidote to the deception of the Dajjal. He commanded us to memorize and recite the first 10 and the last 10 verses of Surah Al-Kahf, the cave. Why Surah Al-Kahf? Because every single story in that chapter is about seeing through illusions. It tells the story of the young men in the cave who fled from a tyrannical pagan society to protect their faith. It tells the story of the man with 2 beautiful gardens who was deceived by his own wealth. It tells the story of Prophet Musa and Al-Khidir, which teaches us that the reality of a situation is often completely different from what it looks like on the surface. And it tells the story of Dhul Qarnayn, a righteous king who built a massive wall to hold back the forces of chaos, Gog and Magog. Surah Al-Kahf trains your mind to see the unseen. It protects your heart from the glitter of the material world. It is the ultimate decoder ring for the illusions of the modern age. The secret societies, the hidden symbols, and the elite bloodlines are real. They have been working for centuries to prepare the world for the ultimate deception. But as Muslims, we do not live in fear of the shadows. We know the end of the story. The Prophet, peace be upon him, promised us that Prophet Isa, the true Messiah, will descend. He will track down the Dajjal at the gates of Lod, and with a single strike, the greatest illusion in human history will shatter into dust. Do not be distracted by the hidden symbols of the elite. Focus on the clear, blazing truth of the Quran. Guard your prayers, protect your family from the toxicity of the modern matrix, and hold fiercely to the Sunnah of the Prophet. The deception is massive, but the power of Allah is infinite.